He shook his empty soda glass at the waiter. Like he was summoning a dog. Didn't say a word. Didn't take his earbuds out. Just rattled the ice and smirked. And when the poor guy rushed over to refill it, he laughed. That's when I realized something. I wasn't just embarrassed. I was ashamed to be sitting at that table. And that was the moment I decided I would never go out to eat with them again. Let me start with this. I loved my wife. We lost her in 2022. And ever since then, her family, especially her sister, has been one of the last pieces of her I still feel connected to. So when my sister-in-law invited me to dinner with her family, I didn't hesitate. We've always had a good relationship. Her older kids? Great. Respectful. Smart. Even her husband? I thought we got along. I was wrong. It was supposed to be a nice Italian place. Not fast food. Not some chain. One of those restaurants where the lighting is warm, the bread comes in a basket wrapped in cloth, and the prices make you check your wallet twice. I showed up dressed appropriately. Button-up shirt. Clean jeans. It felt good to go somewhere decent. Then they walked in. Her husband, 46 years old, already scowling. The first words out of his mouth. Parking was ridiculous. Not hello. Not good to see you. Parking. Then he complained about having to wait. Even though they were late. Why were they late? Because he took his time getting ready. We had a reservation. And we were waiting because of him. I felt that first flicker of irritation in my chest. But I swallowed it. It's family. Right? Then I noticed the youngest. 13 years old. Pajama pants. Torn hoodie. At a nicer restaurant. I looked at myself. She gave that tight smile. You know how kids are, she said softly. No. No, I don't. Because when I was 13, my parents would have turned the car around. But okay. Maybe I'm old school. Maybe I'm just sensitive. Maybe I miss structure. Maybe I miss my wife. I pushed it down. We ordered appetizers. Enough for everyone to get at least 2 of each. The plates hit the table. Before the waiter even finished setting them down. Her husband lunged. Grabbing. Stacking. Half the calamari. Half the bruschetta. Half the mozzarella sticks. Didn't ask. Didn't pass. Just took. And then? He complained. Too salty. Too greasy. Not worth the price. With his mouth full. The older kids looked embarrassed. You could see it in their eyes. I felt heat creeping up my neck. But I stayed quiet. This is where it shifted from annoying to humiliating. The waiter comes to take our order. Her husband has both earbuds in. Both. He's watching anime at the table. Volume loud enough that I could faintly hear the tinny sound effects. The waiter is standing there, awkward smile frozen on his face. Sir? No response. Sir? Finally he taps him lightly on the table. The husband pulls one earbud halfway out like it's an inconvenience to exist. Orders a pizza. But not just a pizza. A Frankenstein creation. Remove this, add that, substitute this, extra this, no sauce but also sauce on the side. The waiter writes it down patiently. Then when it comes and they charge accordingly. He explodes. Why is this more expensive? The waiter calmly explains modifications cost extra. He scoffs like it's robbery. I could feel my jaw tightening. My wife worked in restaurants. So did my sister-in-law. So did I when I was younger. You do not treat service workers like that. Not ever. Then it happened. His soda ran out. He didn't say excuse me. He didn't make eye contact. He didn't lift a finger politely. He grabbed the glass. And shook it. Ice clinking loudly. Like he was ringing a bell for a servant. The waiter rushed over. Refilled it. And this grown man, 46 years old, laughed. Didn't even have to say anything. He was proud. Proud. Something in me snapped. I thought about my wife. About the kind of person she was. About how she'd tip extra when someone was slammed. About how she'd whisper, "Be kind. You don't know what someone's day looks like." And here I was. Sitting at a table where kindness was being mocked. The check came. There was a small mistake. One appetizer that I had agreed to pay for ended up on their portion of the bill. Easy fix. Simple. Normal. The waiter apologizes. Before he can even finish. How hard is it to get it right the first time? He raised his voice. People turned. The waiter's face flushed red. And that was it. I stood up. I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene. I just stood up. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I followed the waiter to the POS system. Quietly said, "Put mine and the two oldest kids' meals on one check." He nodded, grateful. I paid. Tipped well. Very well. Because someone needed to balance the universe. Then I walked back to the table. Said goodbye to my SL. Hugged the older kids. Looked her husband in the eye. And left. Later that night, my SL called. Her voice wasn't angry. It was confused. Did they do something wrong? I paused. This was the moment. The easy way out would have been. No, everything's fine. But my chest still felt tight. So I told her. Calmly. I explained how embarrassing it was. How disrespectful it felt. How the shaking glass, the yelling, the earbuds. How it made me not want to be associated with that behavior. There was silence. Then she said something that stunned me. No one else has ever had a problem with them. I almost laughed. No one else? Or no one else has said it out loud? The next day, my phone rang again. Mother-in-law. I braced myself. Instead, she said. Thank you. I blinked. For what? For being the only other person willing to call him out. Apparently this wasn't new. Apparently everyone noticed. No one spoke. Because it's easier to tolerate bad behavior than confront it. Especially in family. But grief changes you. Losing my wife changed me. I don't have time for performative peace anymore. If something feels wrong, I won't pretend it's fine. Here's what really bothered me. It wasn't just the rudeness. It was the entitlement. The smugness. The teaching of it. That 13-year-old didn't dress that way alone. Didn't learn that behavior alone. That's modeled. That's normalized. And I thought. If my wife were here, would she be sitting silently? Or would she squeeze my knee under the table and say, "Let's go"? I think I know the answer. Maybe I embarrassed them. Maybe walking out was dramatic. But I didn't scream. I didn't insult him. I removed myself. Set a boundary. That's it. I won't go out to eat with him and the youngest again. If Mayasael wants to meet. If the older kids want to grab dinner. I'm there. But I won't sit at a table where basic decency is optional. The real revenge? It wasn't public humiliation. It wasn't yelling back. It was exposure. Because when someone behaves badly in public but no one calls it out, They think it's normal. When I left, the illusion cracked. When my mother-in-law called to thank me, that told me everything. He wasn't untouchable. He wasn't universally accepted. He was tolerated. And tolerance ends the moment someone says no. That's the power. Not anger. Not revenge. Boundary. And from what I've heard, he hasn't pulled the glass-shaking stunt since. Funny how that works. Sometimes justice isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. It's standing up, paying your bill, and walking away. Because dignity matters. And the way you treat people, especially those who serve you, says everything about who you are. If this story made your blood boil even a little, hit that like button. And tell me in the comments. Would you have stayed? Or would you have walked out too? And if you love real stories about boundaries, karma, and moments that change everything, subscribe. Because there's always another story waiting.